Hi. Theory is when you can explain everything, but nothing works. Practice is when everything works, but you don't know why. In BikeGremlin workshop, we combine theory and practice. So nothing works and no one has any clue why. And in this video, I will be talking about compressors. We have one here, but I will explain this model in detail. This is made by company called Hyundai, and this is the model. But I will be first starting with a general talk and some general tips and advice about compressors. So let's begin with that. I will start with the most problematic, most challenging, as the modern motivational speakers like to say, thing, and that is painting. If you're looking to paint, for that it is important that your compressor can maintain a steady flow of air without sudden increases or drops in pressure. And for that, the most important thing is the air volume in a minute. So how many liters of air it can put out in a minute. And for painting, I think that about 300 liters per minute is what you should be looking for. And those are usually a bit more powerful compressors that usually have 2 pistons and a couple of kilowatts of power. But the important thing is not the manufacturer, not even the capacity of the tank. We'll get back to that. Just want to first not forget to mention this, so you can disregard all that. The most important by far is how many liters per minute it can put out. So even if it has a smaller tank, it will be able to inject enough air and to fill it up and to put it out on your nozzle, and without going into many details right away now, but that's what you should be looking for. For all the other tasks, including blowing bicycle tires, seating tubeless bicycle tires, using air power tools, pneumatic tools that use the compressed air, you don't have to worry about how many liters per minute, because in all those tasks you do some shorter or a bit longer bursts and then you stop. You will not be using your pneumatic, how do you call that tool that you use to screw in and unscrew the bolts, so like a drill or a screwdriver or an angle grinder, non-stop, just press the button and keep it going. You will be making some breaks, at least to move to a different bolt and to check what you're doing, so the compressor will have the time to add more air to keep up with you. So for that use, it's not that crucial. The volume of liters per minute is crucial for painting primarily. Painting also requires that you put some filters before your hose and your nozzle for painting, so that any water or oil gets filtered out of your compressor. And so for that use also, it's not important to care about other things. Is it a oil-free compressor or with oil? It's less relevant. Also for cleaning, if you I hear some people discuss they need a oil-free compressor for cleaning. For most parts, for most uses, you can get away with a normal oil compressor and just put some that attachment filter. I'll try to put an image of what that looks like somewhere in the shot, and that it's not too expensive, so you can get that and sort it out. And for using in a workshop, in a bicycle workshop, I will talk about what was important for me based on my knowledge and experience with different kinds and models. Your priorities may differ, but I will discuss all the high points, as the Americans say. For me, it was very important for the compressor to not be too loud, because when it is too loud, it creates problems when I need to talk to a customer or when I need to do some work, and I prefer to listen to some good music than to listen to very loud noise. The standard oil compressors are so loud that you need to put your hearing protection, especially in an area like this where I have all the concrete walls, reinforced concrete and steel entrance, and so everything resonates and it's very loud and you can damage your hearing. and I really hated that moment when the compressor kicks in and starts making a lot of noise, and I couldn't wait for it to stop when I used oil compressors. With silent compressors, that's not so much of an issue, and that is the good thing about them. When it comes to air volume of the tank, it does, if you have a larger tank, say 50 liters, that's at least in Serbia commonly available larger compressor, that does give you some autonomy, some time to work without the compressor kicking in and having to be plugged in. But on the other hand, it makes it very bulky, and so for any remote work, especially if you don't have electricity or it's not practical to keep the compressor plugged in, it's not a very successful solution for me. For me, for portability, the thing that I look for are smaller compressors that I can keep plugged in, with the emphasis on that they can be carried easily, or even better, good quality battery run compressors. I don't have one in my shop, nor do I own one, but from other mechanics and mobile bicycle mechanics, I want to greet all the good people from the Mobile Mechanics Facebook group now. If anyone watches these videos, I hear that mechanics watch my videos just to get a good laughs when I fail. Joking. And that's our running joke, at least in my area of friends mechanics. And they've had very good results with the Milwaukee Fuel Model 2 compressor that uses batteries. I will try to put an Amazon affiliate link so that yaks won't pay for themselves. I need to make millions, and so that you can see the product and compare prices to see what I'm talking about. I haven't tested that myself, but for portability, it was on my short list to buy, and it uses Milwaukee batteries, but I found an adapter for Bosch batteries, because most of my power tools are battery run Bosch power tools, and so I was looking to buy that compressor and see how if I'll be able to use my batteries. Again, I haven't tested the tool nor the adapter, and Bosch hasn't made anything like that, while the Milwaukee solution looks very good. So I'm talking about things that I've never seen and that I don't have here. But I wanted to touch upon that thing about portability, because I do a lot of work in the field, and I'm always having problems with when I need compressed air for cleaning or for blowing things up and for pumping things up and similar. So the big volume compressors don't cut it. You run out of juice pretty quickly, but they are still very bulky all the time. And the smaller ones, you don't have any kind of autonomy. Practically, they need to always be plugged in, and so those are some pros and cons, and a bit of thinking out loud and some experience shared. So if it helps you, great. If not, you can skip to the part where I talk about, this chapter will be visible in the video's timeline, and it will be called the oil versus oilless compressors. I've heard and seen a lot of discussion about that. Some people still claim that oilless compressors are just not durable, they are not a good quality, and that oil run compressors are, on the other hand, super loud. The technology today has advanced a bit, and so again, unless you are painting, so keeping your compressor running a lot more often and for a longer period of time, I would say that you can get good results with oilless compressors, because they will have the time to cool down, and the modern materials that reduce friction are, if you buy a decent quality, they should be okay. So oilless compressors can work. Regarding the noise, there are solutions to noisy compressors. You can put them in some sort of a enclosed case with some foam to keep the noise down, but that creates one small complication, and that is that compressors, water condenses inside their canister, and you need to regularly open the canister to release that water. And so when your compressor is in an enclosure, that can be a bit of a problem. And I, for one, call me a bit lazy, but I don't like such chore, is if I've pronounced it properly. I don't like having such additional tasks to do on a regular basis. I have more than enough other stuff. So for me that was a bit of a not my preference, so I was looking for a silent compressor, and I was looking for a small one and a compact one that does the job for bicycles, and it saves space and uses less power. If you move your compressor away, you can buy hoses and run them along your walls to make an inlet outlet near where you work, so that you can go there and there you can plug in your final tool. And if you are doing that, I would advise that you also install a valve so that you can close it off, and that way when you reinsert or pull your tool hose out, either on the end or where your adapters go, you will be less likely to damage anything, and it will last longer without wearing out, because when you eject it under pressure, it still gets a bit worn out when it's not completely open and the air is pushing it out, and the same goes for reinserting them. So it's better to have the hose be not under high pressure when you're doing that, and that's why it's a good thing to install a valve. It's also a good thing to do that on your compressor even if you're not running those hoses, but on some models like this one there is a workaround, so I still haven't gotten down to adding another thing to my setup. I will now talk about this compressor. I will let you see how loud it is, compare it, and talk a bit about it. So here what we have is the model, as I said, SAC 55751. Hyundai is the manufacturer. Let's see if you can see here. It says super silent 59 decibels. I'll start from there. Anything around 60 decibels is okay. You will hear it and judge for yourself, but I would say it's okay. Anything over that is not very nice. Decibel scale is exponential, so 70 decibels will be a lot louder than 60 decibels. It will not be just a 10%, 15% difference, but a lot more, and you will notice it and you will not be able to talk when it's turned on. This one has, here are the statistics, how much liter, 6 liter capacity, less than or just over 90 liters per minute is the volume. You can push out 8 bars is the maximum pressure. It weighs about 15 kilograms, and I could say it's not very light. It's not something that I would enjoy carrying around, but for a grown adult male it's not too much of a problem. Anything over that is a lot less convenient. It doesn't use much power, and that is another consideration. Let me see if I can read the exact wattage, if they wrote it down. If not, I will try to put it in the video's description. Yes, it says 550 watts, less than 1 horsepower. For me that was also important because I don't have 3-phase electricity, so even though we have 220 volts here voltage, the having only 1 phase means that anything that I plug in here uses the same not safety plug, but how do you call that, the thing that breaks when the current is too strong. I'll put some titles when I remember it. My apologies, English is not my native. So fuse is the right term, yes. So I need to be wary and not put too much strain on the single one fuse that I have, so my total capacity for power is limited in the workshop. Anyway, so that was another consideration. And of course for me the very important thing was how loud it is. And before I show that, I will talk about the power. It has enough power. I can do anything that I need for bicycles, even using this relatively thin hose. There are thicker hoses, but this one is light and it compresses to a very small amount, while it can be very long. I think it's over 5 meters. So I opted for that one, and it does, if you have a narrower hose, it does reduce the amount of air you can put out in one amount of time, regardless of the pressure in your compressor. So that is a limiting factor, but it wasn't problematic for bicycle tires and for cleaning stuff, of course, by using compressed air. It works for that. So the interface is 1/4 inch, and those are the standards for the threads and anything else. There are several. There is one, I think, even smaller, and a few larger ones, but this is 1/4 inch, and that is the most commonly used, at least in Serbia, and the most easy to find attachments for and everything else. So let's put this back in. It has a the quick release, so you just pull this and it flies out, and when you insert it you also use only one hand, so that's super practical. It looks like it's a decent quality and it's not rattling or anything, so that's nice. The problem you might have is a very short hose, just about 1 meter, a very short power cord, just about 1 meter, so I don't like that thing. And the drain plug is over here. It's nicely designed, and when you unscrew it, like on most compressors, and I have found it starts leaking out any air that was left. You shouldn't do it under pressure, but when you've released pressure, some will still air hiss out of here. Just when you start unscrewing it, and then when it all hisses out, you can take it out. You can see how it's designed to allow for that air to leak out before it's completely unscrewed. As soon as you start unscrewing it, and as soon as this rubber seal breaks its seal, of course. So that's one thing. You can smear some silicone over the O-ring. That's a good thing to do to protect the rubber and make it last longer. And it looks like a brass thing, and it should not rust. So that's what you need to do on a regular basis, and to make sure that any air or any water that's condensed inside gets out. Now the interesting thing about this one is that you can buy spare air filters, and when you buy it, this is not screwed in. This little hose, you get this one separately, and you shouldn't throw it away by mistake. So you get it unscrewed like this, and also inside is a filter that can be replaced, and you can buy spare ones at some reasonable price. So that's what it looks like. This is where the little tube goes in. So when you insert it, it doesn't go all the way in, but it has its purpose that we'll discuss. So there is the filter, and this is all plastic. That's about it, and now we can screw it in. If you don't put this filter, you will have your compressor motor run on dirty air, and also if you don't insert this tube, it will make a lot of noise. I will now show you what the noise sounds like on a microphone, and then I will explain in using some practical examples so that you know what you can expect from the compressor objectively. Okay, so it's in. As with most compressors, you pull this out to get it to run, and you just press it to shut it down if you need to do so in a haste. So that's a good design. That's more or less standard. And what else did I want to mention before I finally turn it on? It has the pressure gauge, and this one lets you adjust how much pressure you get on the exit. So if you want to pump up your tires to 3 or 4 bars, and you set the outer pressure to 4 bars, it will not be able to easily push air. You need to set it a bit higher, and then use an adapter with a meter if you wish to do so. So like this one, I got this, and here I have the pressure meter, and so that works. But this lets you adjust how much air you want to go out when you press the tool to start pumping air. And for cleaning, sometimes it's convenient to get the pressure lower, sometimes more. When you screw this in, the pressure increases. and when you screw it out, the pressure decreases. This also can work to leave, if your compressor still has a lot of air and high pressure and you need to change the adapters, you can just screw this out a bit to lower the pressure, press for a brief moment the tool, and then the pressure from the exit here will be reduced to what this little bar says. I will show it when I turn it on. And so you can make your exit of the hose be at lower pressure so that you can exchange if you don't install a valve. Now we'll try to turn it on and plug it in and turn it on and see how much noise it makes. Okay. It takes about, I think you can hear me normally now, hopefully, despite the compressor working. And it takes about 1 minute for it to completely fill up the pressure. You can see here the pressure is increasing. It will shut off when it reaches 8 bars. That's the maximum pressure it can achieve. Now I'm standing right next to it. There, it's shut off, and if you could hear on the video, I could hear it. The sound of the compressor shutting off feels louder than the sound of the compressor working. With the standard loud compressors, I cannot wait for the engine to stop and I cannot even hear this sound. But here, that's the loudest sound that you get from the compressor. I could stand 1 meter away from the compressor while it's working and talk with my friend without having to talk loudly. I'm not sure how that sounds on the microphone on the recording because I haven't got the feedback. But so I assure that I did talk louder when it was working to make sure that you can understand me on the recording. But when I'm talking normally, it can work and it doesn't create much problems. I could even listen to a podcast on my radio, which is over there, just very close, with compressor being here and me working in between them. So the amount of noise is, as I joked, similar to a customer coming in and starting talking. I can consciously concentrate and keep listening to the podcast while filtering out the noise. And so that's about it. And I want to show this setting for the outer pressure. So here now, as you can see, the outer pressure is set to less than the maximum pressure that we have in the tank. And once this drops to about what you set here, or to about 6 bars, it will turn on again and start pumping air to recreate more, to add more pressure. So whichever kicks in first. But if you change these settings, here let's try to unscrew this to lower the pressure. Now the needle is stuck, so you need to give it a short press and then it will reset to what you configured it to. So it's a bit of a, you move this and then you press to see what you set. I can increase it, of course. When I'm increasing it, it starts pumping up right away. But when I'm decreasing it, I need to let the air out of the hose because we have pressure there. And so that's what I was talking about. If you need to remove the tool and the pressure is high, you can just set this setting to lower, and then there's not much pressure. You can easily eject and replace the tool, but when this is under high pressure, you are needlessly wearing out the mechanism. No need to do that. So that's about, and let it will turn on soon. Or if I increase this pressure, it will turn on right away, probably, if memory serves me. No, it won't. So almost. Now it's turned back on again, and it will stop when it reaches the maximum pressure. That's the principle, that's how it works. Before you leave it for a longer period, you've stopped working, you need to go home, you should turn it off and release the pressure, and then unscrew that valve to let the condensed water come out if there's any left. Or you can do that once a week if you don't use it a lot. It doesn't get too much water too fast. It also depends on how much moisture it is in your air. So that's for this model. I remember what I forgot. I wanted to show how it sounds when you remove that tube. It makes a lot of a difference. I was surprised. So let's make sure it's turned on. Hear this? It's a lot louder. So that seems to make a bit of a difference, the tube, and that's about everything that I wanted to show about this compressor. It works okay for me so far. I would recommend it. Buy it again if it lasts for more than 5 years. That's my minimum expectation. I will see about that in a few years. So I wanted to show it and hope this helps someone. And if not, I hope it was at least a little bit entertaining. That's the whole video, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in some other video. Cheers, stay cool.